Hello and welcome to the CapEx Chat. My name is Daniel Lindén and I'm here with my colleague and friend Fredrik Weissenrieder.
Thank you, Daniel. Today's topic is on capital allocation and how that affects GDP and the welfare of a nation.
We've talked before about how much we believe in what we do. We believe that we can create a lot of value for our customers, our clients. Normally, our clients are incorporated businesses. However, I think it is important to remember, why is it so that we work in companies with capital allocation, and the way we measure if we succeed in allocating capital in the best possible way is by looking at how much value we create for the shareholders. It's not a coincidence. Our societies, most of our societies in Western Europe, in the Americas, most of South America anyway, it is so that it is the shareholders that own the residual earnings of a company. They take a large part of the risk, but they are also the owners of the residual earnings.
It is a mechanism that has worked better than any other tried mechanisms.
I agree, and I also think it has something to do with the owners are the ones that provide the capital. Right?
Oh, definitely. And originally also sort of the idea.
The idea,
usually.
Not always, but usually. But the shareholders provide the capital. And lawmakers, since a long time ago, have identified that the allocation of capital is so important and so fundamental for the well-being of a nation. I'm not taking anything away, of course, from all the other things regarding social rights and law and order, democracy, free speech, right of or available healthcare and all of that. But still, that to make sure that the capital allocation works in a country is so fundamental for the opportunity to grow and
prosper as a country.
Grow and prosper and create more opportunities to actually eventually consume in a society.
Exactly. I mean, if you look at the gross domestic product, the GDP, you can calculate that in different ways. But it's in one way, it's consumption and it's investment. So consumption, private and federal, governmental, state, and it's investments of private investments, corporate investments, government, state, federal, and so on. This is where we operate. We operate in the investment section of it. And what we have seen and what we have talked so much about and written so much about is that the views are not what they should be. The mindset is not what it should be. The way to calculate things is not what it should be when it comes to investments.
We work within the private sector. We work with large companies generally. But I firmly believe, almost say I know, that the exact same problems exist also on a governmental level.
Yeah, and we have, I mean, if you look back many years, we were involved in railroads, utilities and so on. So if you take roads, railroads, utilities, nations spend enormous of money in that. And if you add then to that the corporate investments, it's that.
We know how much we can improve a company's allocation of capital. Yes. We know that if they go from the traditional way of looking into allocations into a way that puts the strategy in front of the individual capex, we know that we can improve the capital allocation efficiency normally by more than 20%. But let's say that it's 10%. Let's say that we can improve it with 10%, or that most companies could improve it with 10%. You talked about GDP before, and over the last, I believe it's 20 or 40 years, the average investment level of USA has been 20%. So every year, out of the GDP in USA, 20% is in investments. 80% is other consumption and other government spending
and
net imports and net exports. But let's just make a thought process. If it was possible to improve the efficiency of an entire economies, such as US, capital allocation with 2 percentage points per year.
Yeah, that's 10% on investments.
Yeah,
that would improve the GDP by 2%, another 2%.
Yeah, so 20% of the GDP is investments. We can improve that with 10% every year. That will get to a 2 percentage points. Bear with us now. This calculation has its flaws. But if you could do a calculation like that, the average GDP growth of the US over the last 20 years would go from roughly 4% per annum to almost 6% per annum. And that would mean today that there would be a 10,000 billion, a 10 trillion more available every year in the American GDP. Available for consumption, available for healthcare, available for education, available for defense, or whatever is the American people think is best needed. Well, there's so many zeros. It's difficult even to. It's 10,000 billion USD per year. That's 50% of the GDP. Remember now, that's over a 20-year period.
Yeah, and I think that the US public could think of one or two things to do with that money. It's improved roads, better healthcare. And
then, with that said, I do believe that the American economy, at least over a really long period of time, over the last 50 or 100 years, probably been pretty good at allocating capital compared to many other economies.
Yep.
But still, the potential is there.
Yep.
If you liked what you heard us talk about today and want to hear more about similar topics, don't forget to click subscribe or follow below.
And if you liked what you heard today, press like.